See if we got some people that's going to join us. Other people going to join us tonight. I had thought about not having a class tonight because it's so close to Thanksgiving. A lot of people have already started their preparing for Thanksgiving. But in light of the new Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's guidelines, I thought it would be nice to go ahead and kind of do this tonight. Give me just a moment. Hold on, my sound not working? My sound stopped working. Hold on here.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it was. Okay. Maybe it's just not coming through on my computer. I'm hoping it's coming through on YouTube. All right, so let's go ahead and get a transfer over here. Get on my YouTube channel real quick. All right, there we go. Let me see if my sound on YouTube is working. It should be. Okay, can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you. I can go here to YouTube and check as well.
Yeah, it's not picking up on my computer though. Hold on, let me see what's going on. Make sure it's picking up on YouTube. Okay, can anybody on YouTube hear me? People on YouTube, can you hear me? If you can hear me on YouTube, type yes, I can hear you on YouTube. I think you all can. I hope you all can. Let me make sure I got my volume turned on YouTube. Okay, someone says yes, I can hear you. Okay, cool. All right, that's good. All right, just want to make sure y'all can hear me on YouTube. So sometimes it comes through and sometimes it doesn't. All right, let me go ahead and start my recording. Okay, it's live stream. I'm going to start my recording. We got quite a few people on YouTube tonight. So let me start my recording. Record to cloud. All right, good evening, everybody. This is Calvin Butler with the RBBS Logistics Learning Centers and the National Dispatch Network. And I'm here tonight because tonight is Thursday night, which is our usual time for dispatch training. We are not going to do the ordinary how to dispatch series tonight because we're so close to Thanksgiving and because of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has issued its updated guidelines for the operating standards for dispatchers. That's what everybody's been waiting on. Everybody's been talking about, oh, the guidelines are going to change for dispatchers. They're finally going to crack down on dispatchers. They're going to make dispatchers have to get a bond. Dispatchers going to have to do this. Dispatchers going to have to do that. They're going to have to get insurance. They're going to have authority like the freight brokers do. Well, guess what? None of that happened. Like I said before, dispatches have been legal for the last 30-odd years. Every other year or so, someone introduces a challenge to the legality of dispatch. And every single time over the last 30 some odd years, every single time the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration has ruled the exact same way. What makes you all think they was going to change their ruling? Okay, they were not going to change their ruling and abandon what they have put in place. Dispatchers are legal if they are operating under the guidelines of the statute. Dispatchers do not need any type of authority. Dispatchers are not required to have insurance or a bond. Dispatchers are only required to operate under the statute, which is CFR 371-41.1. Okay. So all this stuff about y'all been hearing these people, these YouTubers and everybody talking about, oh, they're gonna start making dispatchers get a bond. Dispatchers finally gonna have to start operating like brokers. No, they are not, and they never will be. Okay, because dispatchers are not brokers. That has already been established. It has already been established. It's already been put forth, and everybody knows that as long as you are operating under the statute correctly, you don't have to worry about any of this stuff. The only thing a dispatcher needs to do, first of all, you must have your EIN number. You must be a legal business. You must be registered as a legal entity within your state. And so you must have your business registered with your state, either as an LLC, sole proprietorship, or some type of business. And you must have your EIN number, okay, your employee identification number. They get that free through irs.gov. And you must have a dispatch agreement in place, okay? And you must follow the guidelines. And the guidelines simply, and we're going to go over that tonight. We're going to go over the actual ruling, the new updated guidelines that everybody has been waiting on, that everybody has been saying it was going to change the way dispatchers have to operate. It didn't change anything. It didn't change anything. The only thing that changed was they increased the fine if you are operating illegally, if you are operating like a broker. Okay, and that's always been the case. If you operate like a broker, there's always been some type of penalty for doing that. The only difference is they just increased the fine. That's it. So if you are operating legally, you never had anything to worry about. Nothing is ever going to change as far as how you operate as a dispatcher. So let's jump right into that. Let me start sharing my screen here. Let's jump right into that, and then after this, we're going to have some Q&A. I want to welcome everybody on our YouTube channel. We got a lot of people on YouTube tonight. Let's go ahead and recognize these people on YouTube. We have Mr. James Sears on YouTube. We have Mr. Phil Thomas on YouTube. We have No Compete Refrigeration Services. Okay, I think it's the first time we've ever seen you here, but welcome. Glad to have you. And we have Julian Jackson. Thank you for joining us tonight. I don't think we've ever had you here before, but thank you for joining us, and we appreciate you joining us tonight live here on YouTube. All right, so let's jump right into the statute. Let's jump into this new ruling. Here is the new ruling. Okay, here is the new ruling. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration updates guidelines for brokers dispatch service. Okay, let's go over this because y'all remember some of the people on YouTube, a lot of these YouTubers that were putting out these things about, I even saw something today where someone kind of put up a misleading title on YouTube, and the title, I do believe it says dispatchers, it said dispatchers can face fines of $10,000. Okay, that's kind of misleading. Illegal dispatchers can face fines of $10,000. If you are operating correctly, you're not going to get any fines. There's nothing going to be done to you. You don't have to change anything you're doing. And we're going to go over that and show you exactly what their ruling stated and the things that they included in there. There's nothing in this new updated guidelines that hasn't been there before. It's been the same guidelines that have been for the last 30 years. The same guidelines. The only thing that changed was the fine. And as it says here on this updated ruling, it says here, Handling money exchanged between carriers, shippers, does not necessarily require broker authority. Agency clarifies. In other words, for those people that didn't know how to read a statute or don't know how to interpret a statute, because statutes are written in legal jargon. So they felt it necessary to put in plain language what was already in the statute. It was just a clarification. It's not really an update. It's not really new guidelines. There are no new guidelines. The guidelines are the same as they've always been. They're just clarifying their previous position that in their previous ruling that they've had for the last 30-some odd years. Okay, so for those of you who was hoping and banking on that dispatchers will have to get an authority, that dispatchers will have to get a bond, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Okay, actually, no, I'm not sorry, but deal with it. All right, so let's go through this. All right, it says federal. Let me let some other people in. It says federal regulators have attempted. Notice how they said have attempted to clarify differences between brokers, bona fide agents, and dispatch services in new interim guidelines issued Tuesday by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Mandated by last year's infrastructure bill, the guidelines are aimed at cracking down on companies that engage in truck brokering but without proper authority from FMCSA, an issue that brokers claim illegally undercuts their business. Okay, first of all, let's talk about that. All right. There is not a widespread violating of the statute by dispatchers. Okay, there's a very small percentage of dispatch firms that operate like brokers, and we're going to go into that. Okay, but the vast majority of dispatch firms, especially everybody that I have instructed on how to dispatch freight, I know they know how to dispatch properly. The vast majority of dispatch firms operate the way the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration guidelines mandate that they should operate. Okay, the vast majority of dispatchers, and we're gonna break it down on what dispatchers should be doing and what they should be doing. Okay, but let me repeat that: the vast majority, clearly more than 95% of all dispatchers out there operating are operating legally. There is only a very small percentage of dispatch firms that operate illegally, that operate like a broker. Okay, very small percentage. And that's been the case ever since dispatching was mandated and allowed within the industry. Okay, and here's my thing. If you are a broker, right, dispatch firms are your best friend. Dispatch firms provide a free service for you. Dispatch firms bring you more business. A dispatch firm that is operating legally is bringing a broker more business. Because what does a dispatch firm do? A broker contracts with shippers to move that shipper's freight. And they do so and they get paid a margin. The difference between what they get the load from the shipper and the load that they posted onto the load board, the load that they give to the carriers, they have a margin. Okay, and it's a difference. The shipper may give them a load at $3,500. They may put it out to the carrier at $3,200. That gives them a $300 margin. That's their profit. Okay. Now, what do dispatchers do? Dispatchers contract with owner operators. That's that pre-existing agreement that's in the statute. Okay. They contract with owner operators to find said owner operator suitable freight, persuading to that owner operator specific criteria. In other words, they don't take ownership of freight. They can't go to a shipper and get a whole bunch of loads and then share them on Facebook or share them on load boards or share them, period. That's not what dispatchers do if they're operating legally. Legally operating dispatchers, first of all, they must have a pre-existing agreement with a carrier for a continued relationship. That is the dispatch agreement that all of you all get, that we show you all, and we give you copies of, and we give you a sample copy of. That's your dispatch agreement. That's what that pre-existing agreement is. Okay, and it says to find said carrier suitable freight, persuading to said carrier specific criteria. The key word here is find. Okay, suitable freight. Another key word is persuade. Other key word, specific criteria. Basically, in layman's terms, a dispatcher cannot go and get freight from a shipper or a whole bunch of loads and just toss them out there and say, here's some freight that I have, choose from it. They can't do that. A carrier has to let a dispatcher know, I want this type of freight. I'm a dry van, so I want dry van freight. I want my freight to not be over a certain weight. I want my freight to be in a certain price range. I don't want freight that's taking me up in the mountain. They have to have some type of criteria. Then the dispatcher, based on that criteria, then goes out and look for freight that fulfills or meets that criteria. When they find 1, 2, maybe 3 loads that meet that criteria, they can take those limited number of loads. They can't go out and get 50, 60, 100 loads and come together and say, hey, here's a whole bunch of loads that match your criteria, choose. No. They go out and they find specific loads that's leaving from the area where that carrier, upstate there, I'm at or close to it, right? Or that they can run them down to pick that load up that meets somewhat their criteria on the pricing, on the miles, the weight, and things like that. They can get a number of loads within reason. Within reason means 2, 3, maybe 5 loads, and then present those loads to that carrier. So, Mr. Carrier, I have found these loads right here, these specific 3 or 4 loads that fit your criteria. Which one do you want? That is operating legally. That's what dispatchers can do, and that's all dispatchers do. And 95% of dispatchers out there operate that way. The vast majority of dispatchers are operating legally. They are not operating illegally. Okay? That is what a dispatcher can do. And this is what these quote unquote new guidelines, they're not new, they're the same guidelines. They're just a clarification of the old guidelines. That's what I've been telling y'all from the start. There are not going to be any new guidelines. Okay, the Federal Motor Carrier Association is not going to reverse 30 years of their decisions that they've ruled on already, time and time again. Okay, they're not going to go and change anything to make it drastically more difficult for people to become dispatchers. They're not going to do that. If they do that, that means they have to admit that they were wrong for 30 years. That ain't gonna happen. That's not gonna happen, y'all. They're not gonna all of a sudden make thousands of dispatch firms go out and not have to get a bond or have to get insurance, or have to get all this other stuff and put them out of business. That's not going to happen. But those of you who thought that was gonna happen, shame on you. I mean, how could you think that? How could you even think that? Common sense should have told you all that all they was going to do was clarify, dumb down the statute so that those people who do not know how to interpret statute will be able to clearly understand it. And that's all they did. And that's what they're doing here. Now, it says here, wow, the FMCSA acknowledge, notice it said acknowledge that dispatch services can help to ensure the motor carrier has a steady stream of shipments that allows them to focus on moving freight. The way in which dispatch service perform that function can mean the difference between being under FMCSA authority, including the requirement that they have a $75,000 bond to protect their motor carrier customers from non-payment or not. Now, all that is saying is this. If you are operating under the same guidelines that have been in place for the last 30 years, you do not need any type of authority or bond. Now, if you are operating like a broker, which means you are going directly to shippers and getting a whole bunch of loads and you're posting them on Facebook, you need a bond. Has anything changed? Isn't that what the statute says? The statute said the same thing for the last 30 years. I've been preaching the same thing for the last 5 or 6 years. Nothing has changed. Nothing. Someone, please mute your mic. Thank you. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed, as you all will see. Okay. To make that distinction, I want y'all to pay attention to this. What does that mean? To make that distinction, to clarify, to make sure everybody understands it, to dumb it down for those that did not understand it before, to make it simple for those who do not know how to interpret a statute. That's what that means, to make that distinction. Okay. I'm really dumbing this down for everybody. To make that distinction, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration listed 6 factors to help determine if a dispatch service needs broker authority. Such authority is needed if the dispatch service, now these are what happens if a dispatch service is operating like this, they need some type of authority. If a dispatch service interacts or negotiates a shipment or freight directly with the shipper or a representative of the shipper, if they are doing that, they need an authority, because that's what a broker does. But that's not what dispatchers do. That's not what dispatchers do. Dispatchers don't negotiate with shippers. They don't go directly to shippers to get freight. Dispatchers contract owner operators. And only owner operators that they have on a contract can they find freight for. Now, some people always say, well, dispatchers can't book freight for more than one owner operator. No, they can dispatch freight. They can book freight for as many owner operators that they have on the contract. Okay. If a dispatcher wants to contract 100 owner operators, guess what? They can dispatch for owner operators. My dispatch firm is contracted with 317 carriers. 317. And we dispatch freight for them every single month and have been doing so for the last 3 to 4 years. Okay? Because we do it legally. We have a dispatch agreement with each and every one of those carriers. Each and every one of those carriers has filled out our carrier profile form where they clearly outline what type of freight they want, where they want to go, what type of trailer they have. That's operating within the statute. Okay, and we do not contact shippers directly. Okay, dispatchers go to load boards or they find freight in the kind of way they can, but they do not negotiate with shippers. Okay, secondly, a dispatcher must have an authority if they accept or takes compensation for a load from the broker or factoring company, or is involved in any part of the monetary transaction between any of those entities. Listen to what it says. Brokers or factoring company. Dispatcher does not get paid by the broker, do they? The dispatch performs a free service in capital letters, FREE, a free service for brokers. Dispatchers are not paid by brokers. Okay? Dispatchers are paid by the carrier that they have under contract, the owner operator that they have under contract. The only thing here that I would see that would cause some friction is the factoring company. Because remember, I've always told y'all, there's no need for a dispatcher to have a factoring company. Haven't I always said that? But why? Because the load is already brokered by the carrier. I mean, by the load is already factored by the broker. There's not a broker out there that doesn't have a factoring company. To be honest with you, there's no need for a carrier to have a factory company. I mean, that's like doing the same job twice. If the load has already been brokered by the broker, it's already been factored by the broker, why does it need to be factored again by the carrier? You're just paying the factory company more money, unnecessary money. Duh. The broker gets the factoring company. The factoring company then pays the broker and the carrier. Right? And the carrier pays the dispatcher. Haven't I been instructing you all to invoice your carrier? Haven't I been instructing y'all to do that? That's the legal way of doing it. Okay, nothing's changed. This is all this stuff is in the statute. You just have to know how to interpret it. Okay, now arranges, a dispatcher must have a authority or a bond if they arranges for a shipment of freight for a motor carrier with which there is no written legal contract with the motor carrier that meets the aforementioned criteria. There's that pre-existing agreement for a continued relationship to find said carrier suitable freight, persuading the said carrier specific criteria. That's the language in the statute. You all know that agreement as what? The dispatch agreement. Look, there's nothing new in these quote unquote updated guidelines. This is not an updated guideline. This is just a clarification. This is just a clarification. So what everybody's been waiting on, everybody's been saying, oh, it's going to change. It's going to change. A lot of dispatch firms are going to be out of business. A lot of dispatch firms got to get a bond. They got to get this. Yeah. Sorry. That ain't going to happen. Hasn't happened in the last 30 years. It ain't going to happen for the next 30 years. It's never going to happen, y'all. It's never going to happen. Okay? It's just not going to happen. All right. The next criteria, accepts. They must have a bond or authority if they accept a shipment without a truck / carrier, then attempts to find a truck / carrier to move the shipment. What have I told y'all before? You can't go out and get a bunch of loads and then throw them on Facebook and toss them out there and say, hey, I got all these loads. Somebody come run them. You can't do that. You must have a carrier under contract. The carrier must tell you what they want. Then you can go out and look for carriers that meet that carrier, look for loads that meets that carrier criteria, and you have to keep that to within reason. It says within reason, 2, 3, 4, 5 loads that meets that carrier's criteria. Mr. Carrier, here are the loads that meets your criteria that you've already given me in my profile form that we have under this dispatch agreement, this pre-existing agreement that we have with you for a continued relationship to find you suitable freight. Nothing new to see here, people. There's nothing here to see. Move along. Nothing here to see, people. All you all gather around, wanting to see something. There's nothing here to see. Just move right along. There's nothing here to see. It's all the same stuff. Okay? They also need an authority or a bond if the dispatcher is a named party on the shipping contract. The dispatcher is never on the shipping contract, or the contract for shipping is between the shipper and the broker, or the broker and the carrier. The dispatcher is on the what? Dispatch agreement, which is agreement between the dispatcher and the carrier as part of that what? Pre-existing agreement for a continued relationship with said carrier to find said carrier suitable freight, persuading to said carrier specific criteria. There's the statute again. All this is just a rephrasing of the statute that's been in place for the last 30 years. A dumbing down of the statute that's been in place for the last 30 years. That's all this is. Nothing here to see, people. The only thing that is here now, they have made it clear that if you violate these right here, see all this over here, if you are operating like this, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's guidelines clarify. Now, let me let y'all know something. There has always been a fine for violating the statute. Oh. It ain't nothing new. The fine has always been between $5,000 and $10,000, people. That's always been the fine. There's nothing new to see here. There's always been a fine for violating the statute. It even goes here and says Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's guidelines clarify. What does clarification mean? In order for it to be a clarification, something had to be in effect already, right?
Yeah.
Right. It didn't say Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration guideline introduces new or introduces a fine. It says clarifies, which means it's always been the case. But they got to dumb it down and make it simple for people who didn't know how to interpret the statute, or those people who never really read the statute. And I don't know what they pulling this. I don't know where they was pulling all this stuff from, but this stuff has always been in the statute. There has always been a fine, and the fine has always been between $5,000 and $10,000. So they found that because of all these people who keeps coming up, well, we want to challenge the statute. We want to challenge dispatch. They're doing this and doing this. All right, let's clarify this for these people, because they really started to get on our nerves. They really started to make a whole lot of hoopla about nothing. So let's clarify it for them. That dispatchers operating as an unauthorized broker carry civil penalties up to $10,000 for each violation. That has always been the case. I don't see nothing new right there behind me. I don't see nothing new on these updated guidelines. I don't see nothing new. There's nothing new here. Same old, same old. Same old, same old. Congress also mandated that Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration clarify again what defines a broker versus a bona fide agent, which a bona fide agent is a dispatcher. In case y'all didn't know that, that's what a dispatcher is, a bona fide agent. But now Congress says, well, we getting all these letters and getting all these, I don't know, these feeling some kind of way brokers or whatever it is they doing. They calling us and telling us, oh, dispatcher taking our business, dispatcher taking our business, dispatcher taking our business. Well, let's make this plain for these people so that they can understand it in plain language. Okay. Mr. Hey, y'all over there at the Federal Motor Carrier Safety, so can y'all dumb this down a little bit? Because apparently it's written in a manner that most of these people can't understand it. Can you do that for me? Well, I don't know how we can make it. Well, just clarify it, okay? Just do what you can to clarify it, because we getting tired of all these, unnecessary requests and all these unnecessary challenges. Just clarify the doggone thing, okay? All right. So that's what they did. That's all this is. That's all this is. Congress also mandated that the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration clarify what defines a broker versus a bona fide agent that works specifically on the behalf of a motor carrier, because the view among most of those providing comments, woo, boy, don't that hit home. The view among most of those providing comments on the proposed guidelines saw no need to change the current definition of broker. However, the agency felt the need to make only one clarification: the relevance of handling funds in shipper motor carrier transactions. Oh, my Lord. It's going to be a lot of hurt people tomorrow when they see this. I'm probably going to get all kinds of hate comments. But y'all know me, I don't care. I don't care. Because I tell it just like it TIS is, as my granddaddy used to say. For example, the Transportation Intermediary Association, TIA, which requests brokers and 3PLs and owner-operators, independent drivers association, view the handling of money, had at least some relevance as to whether one is brokering. FM Motor Carrier, the Motor Carrier Safety Administration stated, however, while handling money exchange between shippers and carriers is a factor that strongly suggests the need for broker authority, that's handling money between shipper and carrier, it is not an absolute requirement for one to be considered a broker, the agency stated. Oh, so not only did they clarify, they reinforced the notion that dispatching is legal. Oh my God. That's almost like the big red wave we were expecting, but that didn't happen either, did it? In this recent election, everybody was talking about this, oh, the big red wave is coming. The big red wave is coming. You know, you're going to have all these Democratic senators and representatives are going to be tossed out and all these new Republican senators. And everybody was talking about the big red wave. And, well, the wave didn't happen. It was more like a little pebble. Boop. With a little ripple. Okay, look, people. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is not going to change 30 years of their previous ruling. That's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. Okay, it's never going to happen. Let me go ahead and finish this. As for the definition of a bona fide agent, okay, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration noted that multiple commenters, including TIA, the National Industry Transportation League, and the Small Business Transportation Coalition, contended that to be considered a bona fide agent, one can only represent one carrier. The FM, hold on. Remember the big thing was, well, dispatchers can't represent more than one carrier. If they represent more than one carrier, they're illegal. Y'all remember that, right? But remember, dispatchers are considered what? Bona fide agents. They're contractors. FMCSA disagrees. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Somebody's about to be upset. Uh-oh. The FM, let me repeat that. As for the definition of a bona fide agent, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration noted that multiple commenters, in other words, these multiple institutions and people, well, dispatchers can't represent more than one carrier. They're taking our burdens. You know, dispatchers, they're illegal. Why y'all let them do that? The statute says that. No, the statute never said that. You just didn't know how to read the statute. You didn't know how to interpret the statute. Okay? Including TAA and the National Industrial Transportation League and the Small Business Transportation Coalition, contended that to be considered a bona fide agent, one can represent only one carrier. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration disagrees, stating that representing more than one motor carrier does not necessarily mean one is a broker. Oops, oh Lord, we stepped on some toes. But that rock just hit a whole bunch of dogs. I hear a whole bunch of hollering out there now. I hear a whole bunch of hollering, because them hit dogs gonna holler. I just got hit in the face by a big brick. Okay? Does not necessarily mean one is a broker. Rather than a bona fide agent, in other words, a bona fide agent does not necessarily represent only one carrier. Lord have mercy. We just let that air out a whole bunch of people's balloons. But Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration also states any determination will be highly fact-specific and will entail determining whether the person or company is engaged in the allocation of traffic between motor carriers. Okay? Now, what does that mean? Engaged in the allocation of traffic for motor carrier. That doesn't mean the same thing as finding them freight. Okay, if you are a broker, you have a contract with a carrier to supply them with, freight that you have ownership of. That's not what dispatchers do. Dispatchers contract with different carriers, and each and every carrier has to give them their specific criteria. They have to give them a guideline of what they want. Okay, what they want. Now, they can't go and say, well, here's all this freight, I'm gonna give it to you, and you just run this freight on. That's allocating traffic. That is not finding freight. Brokers allocate traffic. I hope this is making sense to you all finally. In commenting on FMCA's guidelines, Chris Burrows, TA Vice President, of Government Affairs, said the agency incorporated several of the association's suggestions on dispatch services. This is a positive first step through TAA, though TA believes it should be the first and not final step, as the number of unlawful brokerage activities continue to rise as these illicit dispatch services skirt registration and regulatory requirements. Burrows told FreightWaves TIA looks forward to continuing to work with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration on this important issue. In other words, they got egg on their face. Okay, we're gonna continue to try and get this changed, but we didn't get what we wanted this time. Well, you ain't got what you wanted over the last 30 years. What makes you think you're gonna get it over the next 30 years? Look, people, this is wishful thinking. If you all think any of these organizations are gonna change what's been the standard for the last 30 plus years, you are sadly mistaken. Sadly mistaken. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration emphasizes the internal guidelines do not have the force of law and are non-binding. The public has 60 days to comment with possible updated guidance from the agency based on comments received. Look, people. Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association is not going to change 30 years of their rulings. They ruled on this. Okay? Nothing is going to change. You have too many dispatch firms out there providing a valuable service to the industry. There's just too many of them. It's too big of an industry to even think about trying to shut it down. All right. So there you have it. Nothing new to see here. That's how I sum it up. Nothing new to see here. All the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration did was clarify their previous stance on dispatching. And the verdict is in, again, dispatching is legal if it's done properly according to the statute. All right, let's have some questions, everybody. Let's have some questions. Let's go over here to YouTube. I'm gonna open up my questions for my people here who are live with us. Let's go over here to YouTube. Got any questions on YouTube? Yes, I can hear you. Okay, no YouTube questions that are coming in yet. Any questions, comments, statements about what you all have just seen here? With this statute. Let me go ahead and stop my share and get into my my group here. There we go. All right. So there you have it. What do y'all think about these new guidelines that are not new? What do y'all think about it? Let me hear y'all's comments. See what y'all got to say about it. Anybody?
Figure out what we should do.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of we call it a lot of truck drivers who complain a lot about dispatchers and their purpose. There's a lot of bashing that goes on all of the different groups on Facebook and Instagram. I mean, massive bashing. They're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot of disappointment on these groups come tomorrow morning. I posted it on several groups. My opinion on this, and you all know my opinion on it. I mean, come on. I mean, this is all just a case of grown people trying to count other grown people's money. As my granddad used to tell me, he said, "Boy, when I got ready to go to college, he said, boy, certain things, one of his rules, like everybody got their rules, right? Well, my granddad had rules for manhood. And one of his rules for manhood is never, ever try to count another man's money. In other words, don't ever get jealous or envious of someone else's success or someone else's hustle, okay? Worry about your own hustle. Focus on your own hustle. If you focus on your own business, you'll be a much happier person. But if you sit there trying to look and see what everybody else is making and see what they're doing, guess what? Your business is suffering. And that's the problem. You got a lot of these carriers, a lot of these owner operators, a lot of these brokers who are not successful, worried about what someone else is making. And because they were so worried about what someone else makes, yeah, they're losing business, but it ain't because of the dispatch. They're losing business because they need to mind their own business. I hate to say it that way, but that's what it is. They're not attending to their own business. They're worried about what another person is making. Never, ever, ever, ever try to count someone else's money. Okay? Don't ever try to do that. If you're making money, great. You can't make all the money. There's enough money out there for everybody. We got a situation now with a brokerage firm that we manage don't want to pay the salespeople enough money because they stated, and I quote, "We're trying to make the salespeople millionaires too fast." Huh? I'm like, okay, but those salespeople are making you the owner of the brokerage firm and your executives billionaires. So why are you worried about them becoming millionaires? Duh. Is that not the prime example of crabs in a bucket? Look, you can't make all the money. You can't. I don't care how hard you try. You can't make all the money. This industry is one of the few industries that is truly, can't be stopped. It's recession proof. There's only a few recession proof industries out there, and this trucking and freight industry is one of them. There's enough money in this industry for everybody, literally for everybody. There's never going to be a shortage of freight. There's always going to be a shortage of carriers to run the freight, so that makes the demand high, and the money is always going to be there for everybody. So I don't get it. I don't get it. I've never been a proponent of any industry standing on the backs of others and they're making all the money, but they won't allow anybody else to make any money. I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, tomorrow once this hits, and I'm going to get all types of inbox stuff, and I wish I could show y'all some of the stuff I get sometimes. But guess what? I don't care. I really don't. Okay, I don't care. Somebody said, "But Calvin, you're not afraid all the stuff you've been saying, somebody gonna track you down? They can come. Y'all see what's behind me, right? They can come. Come on." They can come. I ain't worried about it. Trust me, I'm not worried at all. Because look, this industry is wide open, man. This industry is wide open. There's enough money for everybody. So all this bickering and complaining about other companies making money and dispatching making money, and this is anybody taking your money. They're providing you a service. Get right down to it. Okay. We manage brokerage firms, right? With our new consultant. And we welcome dispatch firms. Why? Because those dispatch firms are our brokerage firm's best friend. They bring us carriers that are looking for the freight that we get from shippers. So why would a brokerage firm be upset with a dispatch firm? Why would a brokerage firm have beef with a dispatch firm that is operating legally? And the vast majority of all the dispatch firms out there are operating perfectly legally. I would stand to reason there are more brokerage firms that are doing stuff on the low, double brokering than there are dispatch firms acting as brokers. That's just the truth of the matter. Okay. All right, let's check my YouTube channel again. Let's share my screen, share my screen with my little share button. Sharing is good. There's my share button. Share my screen, share my screen, share my screen. See what any YouTube people got anything to say over here. All right, my YouTube people, I got someone that says hello. Okay, Julian Jackson says, do you not need a factory company if you can wait 28 days? Well, you don't have to wait 28 days. Dispatchers don't need factoring anyway, because your carrier is, the load is factored by the broker, okay? And if you invoice your carrier, you know, in a timely fashion, I usually invoice my carriers once they've picked up the freight and delivered the freight. One of the things I do for the carrier is I call the broker and I ask the broker, Mr. Broker, I'm calling on behalf of carrier, blah, 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 on load number, blah, 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 to inquire about the status of the pay. And they tell me, oh, that carrier is getting paid today, or a carrier got paid yesterday, or that carrier is getting paid tomorrow. Thank you. Then I call up the carrier. Mr. Carrier, I'm sending you over the invoice. The broker has informed us that you have been paid. I'm sending you the invoice, and the carrier then clicks on it and pays that invoice. Now, if a carrier refuses to pay you, take him to court. A little $79 to file small claims court. You're going to win every time. Why? Because you got a dispatch agreement. You got a carrier profile form. You got a rate confirmation. And you got a BOL. You got everything you need to take them to court and file a small claims court and get your money. Just like that. Nazareth Closet says they missed me. Missed the last live, Mr. Butler. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But this is being recorded. Whatever you missed, you'll be able to watch it here shortly after we finish. Okay? Within about 15 minutes after we finish, you can come right back on YouTube and rewatch it, because we always record these live. Okay? But yeah, dispatchers don't really need factoring companies. Okay? You don't really need factoring companies. That's the only thing that I saw that they kind of, expanded upon, was having your loads factored as a dispatch company. Now, are there factory companies that do factor loads for dispatchers? Yes, there are. So that may affect them. But other than that, dispatchers don't really need factory companies. Okay? You don't need them. You don't need them. I've had 6 carriers that has refused to pay me. I took them all to court and got my money every time. 4 out of the 6, I got more than what I asked for. Yes, I did. I got more than what I asked for. I got more than what they owed me for the load. Okay. So what do they call that? The damages or whatever it is, that they call it. Yeah, I got some extra money. So look, take it to small claims court. That's what the court is there for. $79 is what you pay to file small claims in most states. So pay the little $79. You don't even worry about it, because you're going to win the case. If you got your dispatch agreement, that signed document that said that they're supposed to pay you for a load and what percentage they're supposed to pay you for. If you got the BOL, if you got the rate con, all that stuff you should have, You've got their carrier profile form, all that stuff you should have. Submit that in court. And nowadays, you don't even have to show up at court. They do it online. They do it like we do here via Zoom now. Small claims courts are done via Zoom. Now, the first two I did were not via Zoom. I did them here in in the state of Florida. But the last four I did, they were all via Zoom. And I won every last one of those cases. Got my money. Okay? So if a carrier refuses to pay your dispatcher, just file in the small claims court. $79. They're gonna wind up having to pay the filing fee that you paid, plus they gotta pay you what they the dispatch fee that they were supposed to pay you, plus the judge is gonna tack on some extra fees for them costing you the time and hassle and loss of money and loss of this and loss of that. So yeah, just take it to court. Take it to court. You'll win every time. Okay. Don't even worry about filing a claim against the authority. So they ain't gonna do nothing to them. They don't do it no more. Don't do it no more. Don't do it no more. Don't even worry about it. Take them to court, cause that's where the real teeth are. Okay, cause you go to court, that judge gonna bite, and that judge gonna get you your money, even if they got to go in their bank account and snatch it out, even if they got to garnish their wages, even if they got to put a lien on something. The judge gonna get you your money. Okay, trust me on that. So take him to court, because that's where the real teeth is. Okay. All right. So all right. So that's basically it. I was gonna have tonight. We were gonna go over the statute, but this kind of popped in and was perfect and help us to do that. And since we're so close to Thanksgiving, I didn't want to go into a start of a whole full training, because next week we're gonna be off for Thanksgiving. Hope everybody have a great Thanksgiving time with family and friends, or whatever the case may be. For those of you who really don't believe in Thanksgiving, I understand, but at least spend some time with your family. Make it a family time. Call it something else. Happy family time, or whatever it is. Happy family get together, whatever you want to call it. If you don't really agree with the spirit of Thanksgiving, at least kind of get with your family, spend some time with them, and create some memories. Okay, because when it's all said and done, what do you have left? Memories. That's it. That's all you have left is memories anyway. So when you are gone, someone else has memories of you. When your loved ones are gone, you have memories of them. So memories are the most valuable thing there is. So take this time to create some memories with your loved ones. Spend some time with your loved ones and friends and cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents and great-grandparents and grandkids, and nieces and nephews, and create memories. Okay, because when you're gone, that's all they got left of you is the memories. Okay, and vice versa. All right. With that being said, since no one else has any other questions or anything, we're gonna call that for the night. Hope y'all got some out of this short live training we did tonight, going over the statute. Stop my share here. Going over the statute. I hope we cleared up a lot of stuff for a lot of people who were questioning, are we legal as dispatchers? Do I have to worry about this new thing that's coming out? They got coming out with the Federal Carrier Safety Administration. I know y'all been seeing the YouTubers out there talking about, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Dispatchers better look out. It's coming. A lot of things gonna change. Looks the same to me. It looks the same to me. Okay, nothing changed. Big surprise, huh? Big surprise. Nothing changed. Look, we got some new people that just joined us. Miss Storm, I think, is new. Miss Janie Chambers is new, and Mr. Scott Benning, I think, is new. Thank you all for joining us. Some of our new people who joined our platform. Welcome to the platform. I hope y'all enjoyed our get together tonight. As y'all probably noticed by now, I'm not your run-of-the-mill trainer. This is not the run-of-the-mill course. We have fun around here. That's what we do. We make it fun. We try to make it, applicable to everyday stuff. And you all are gonna find out that that's the way I train. And most of my students like it that way. So there's no need to change it. All right, look, I appreciate each and every last one of you all always. Hope y'all have a great holiday season. Thanksgiving is right around the corner. My mom's birthday is on the 26th. So my daughter's birthday is coming up too. Matter of fact, all the important females in my life are Sagittarius. I mean, really. My late wife was the 26th of November. My mom is the 26th of November. My daughter is December the 14th, Sagittarius. My recently divorced wife was December the 19th, Sagittarius. So yeah, every I'm just surrounded by Sagittarius. So, hey, it is what it is, right? I promise you, I didn't plan it that way. I promise you, I didn't plan it that way. I didn't plan it that way. It just is what it is. Must be something to this zodiac thing, I guess. But anyway, hope y'all have a great holiday weekend, a great holiday week, and the holidays that are coming up, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's right after that. Hope y'all have a safe holidays. Be safe out there. A lot of crazy people out there nowadays, so be safe. Um, um, I would say don't go eating at places people you don't know. Okay. You don't know how to handle their food. Okay, be safe, be careful. Mask up when you go into other people's places and stuff. Let's be safe, y'all. I appreciate y'all as always. I look forward to seeing you all back here, not next week, but week after next. On that Thursday, not next Thursday, but week after next. Next Thursday, of course, is Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, family get together time, Memories Day. So let's enjoy that. Okay, y'all enjoy yourselves. Thank y'all again. And look, dispatchers, y'all ain't got nothing to worry about. If you're operating the way we show you how to operate, if you're operating within the guidelines, let these people talk all they want to. It hasn't changed over the last 30 plus years. Is not going to change over the next 30 plus years. So I think you all are pretty safe. Y'all have a good night. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.